Hanging out with Kyle Perry, this young man we met earlier this year as we got ready for the 2022 season at Oswego Speedway. He ended up fifth in the points in the 350 Super Division. Got up as high as third place a couple times. Here's the nice thing, though. They talk about consistency being a key in racing. There were 10 races. He had 10 top 10 top 10s. Half of those were top 5s. Led the Classic early, ended up third place in that one. Kyle Perry is also a technology teacher at G. Ray Bodley High School here in Fulton, 23 years old. How have you been, man? I saw you at the track a couple times. Really haven't had a chance to chat. How you been?
Good, not too bad. Just, staying busy. Back to school now, so that's keeping me on my toes and just trying to stay busy.
Yeah, it kind of works out well for you because unlike some of the dirt guys who keep going well into September and October, it's perfectly for you for school, doesn't it?
Yeah, Classic weekend wraps up right before we go back, so that makes it nice.
How does racing help your job as a technology teacher, or does it?
It does. I mean, I can bring some pretty cool stuff to the kids, especially engineering classes. We actually are doing a unit right now in our transportation class about physics of cars and stuff. So
beautiful.
We have an iRacing simulator. We hopped on there with them and changing some stuff on the car and seeing seeing if they can know the difference and seeing if they can mess with some setup stuff themselves.
Is there a promising young driver amongst that group on the iRacing setup, do you believe?
We've got a couple of them.
Yeah?
We'll see. There's a couple of them that are definitely interested, and we're doing a great job, getting more kids interested in the local racing scene. So
that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So talk about the season. Sounds like the number one word was consistency.
Yeah, we lacked, that single car high end speed, but we raced pretty good in the features and stuff like that. We were really consistent, finishing anywhere between third and sixth. It wasn't really till the end of the season we got a brand new top wing that it really woke the car up. We picked up almost like half a second the week before Classic, and then obviously Classic weekend we time trialed fifth, and we ended up leading half the race before we got overhauled on a restart. But the wing made a huge difference.
What was the thought, and did you know that it was going to make that big of a difference when you made the switch?
So the wing we had on there was a little bit older, so we decided, over the 30 years between that wing and the newer wings, technology had to have changed. So I got messing around at school one day on our NASA air profile simulator, and I found out that the shape of our wing, the core, wasn't quite creating as much downforce as one of the newer ones would, and it had a little more drag. So that's when we decided to switch to the Butch Valley wing, and that made a big difference.
Still think race drivers are dumb mechanics, right, guys? It is not the case. Those days are long gone. That had to make you feel good that you were able to notice that and actually put it in and actually make it work.
Yeah, we spent most of the season changing literally everything on the car. We'd show up with different shocks. We'd mix match shocks, just trying to find speed. But we could never really get over the hump, so we figured there was only one thing left to change, and that was the top wing, and it made a big difference.
Did you share that with your students?
Yeah, so this was really over the summer that I did this kind of research and figured it out. But that's one thing we talked about, but with aerodynamics, drag versus downforce, and how you want a lot of downforce and not a lot of drag. So
yeah, should have brought them out to a Fast Friday and showed them, right, and let them see exactly. So, of course, this is a season in review. We're going to get to the Classic here in just a minute, but I wanted to make sure I got the 5 questions what we're going with so far. Best night of the year. I know it wasn't a winning night, but was there one night that sticks out in your mind and why?
Probably had to be Classic. Running up there up front with Jeff Battle and Brian Sobis. I mean, these are two of the best guys to run the 350 cars around here. I still think, if the race would have been green to checkered, I think we might have had a better shot at it. But, that's racing. You got to be good on the long runs and short runs. So, but that was definitely probably the highlight of our season right there was the last race.
And since you already brought it up, we might as well stay here for a moment. Ended up in third. When did the car start to fall off and how?
So the restarts, we redrew pill number 2, so we were outside pole. We were able to get a pretty good jump. We had about a straightaway lead until the caution came out. And the restarts, everything changes. Got shoved up the track a little bit and just kind of fell back to third. And once you get, behind those guys, you're not going to pass the 14 or the 45. So
they're that good, huh? Okay, all right. Worst night of the year, what was that?
The worst night of the year, probably Twin 35 nights. It actually started out as one of our best nights. We finished third in the first race. Nice. We were running really good, but we ended up blistering our right rear tire. So we were supposed to start on the pole for the second one with the redraw. But because we had to change our right rear tire, we ended up starting last. So we just ran a couple laps and pulled it in because we didn't have any good rubber to put on it. So,
Did you ever figure out why you blistered the right rear?
A lot of people were complaining about bad tires up there this year, but I don't think that was the reason. We were, changing everything with setup wise, and I think we just missed on the setup that night, and that just caused too much wear on the right rear.
Yeah, happens sometimes, right? I mean,
Yep.
That is the one that takes the most damage out there and then the most absorption. So there you go. So that was it. Any memorable moments, anything that you look back years from now and go, oh, that was 2022?
Probably just the classic. I mean, I grew up going to Oswego Speedway from the time I, was born.
Yeah.
I was basically there every weekend. So just being up there on the podium, Classic weekend, I mean, there's no better feeling. Wish it was a couple spots better, but just everything about Classic, lining up on the track, the driver intros to finish on the podium. I mean, to me, there's nothing better than that. So hopefully I get to do it in the 200 someday.
Nice. Of course, you're an educator. What did you learn? Because I always said if you ever stop learning in racing, you might as well put the stuff away. What did you learn this year?
I think we learned quite a bit. Obviously we learned some setup stuff, getting better as the race goes on. But I think we definitely learned a lot with the top wing, what we got to do with that. So I think next year, timed hot laps and stuff like that, I think we'll be a little bit quicker and a little more in the ballpark.
You didn't make the wing, did you? Or did you design it on
Nope.
a CAD program? Or?
So we ended up buying it from Dave May out in Ohio. So it's an older Butch Valley wing, but it's got the same shape as the new ones. So that's really what we were looking at was the shape of the core and getting as less drag as possible.
Okay, that's true because the wing will drag you down and it will help you in the corner, and either too much either way, and it's not helping.
Yeah, you definitely want to get it out of the air and as less drag as possible on the straightaway.
Okay,
So.
all right. Let's say for some reason you couldn't go. Your car needed to be on the racetrack. Maybe you had a sponsor coming, but you couldn't drive it. You had to pick somebody in your division to drive your car. Keeping in mind, you got to have a good finish, but you don't want them to wreck it either. Who would you pick?
So probably I would say probably my uncle Hella Tulip.
Okay.
So he runs the 56 Super.
But he's not a 350 driver?
Not a 350 driver.
Could he drive it?
He's
or
a
no?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he could.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I think it'd be cool to give him an opportunity in a car that can win. I know he's one of the lower budget guys out there.
Okay.
Just got inducted in the Oswego Speedway Hall of Fame. But I think it'd be really cool for him to get in a car and he can go out there and win with it. So
Okay, let's say he wasn't available. Maybe the supers were somewhere else, and you had to pick somebody from your division, one of your fellow competitors. Who would that be?
I'd probably pick Jeffrey Battle.
Why?
He's a great kid. I mean, he wins in everything he gets in. And it'd show me if it was just me or the car why we weren't having great success. But no, Jeff's a great kid. I mean, I do a lot of iRacing with him in the winter and everything. He told us if we ever go to Star, he'd help us out and all that stuff.
Cool.
So they're just great people that want to see 350 racing. So
Gotcha. Got about a minute left. So I'm curious then, if you put him in a car, you were mentioning how sometimes you can see if it's you or the car. I know a few people who've done that and unfortunately gotten the bad news that maybe it wasn't the car. What would that be like? Because I've seen that happen. I bet you have too.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. He's got way more experience, but I mean, the biggest thing is just seat time with these cars.
Yeah.
Just like every other form of racing, the more you run them, the better you're going to get. Just getting that seat time and tuning your setup and tuning your skills as a driver too.
We back out to see Kyle in the spring. We like to hit everybody once in the fall and once in the spring as we start to look ahead. We got to thank Garofalo's Importing, of course. Going there to get some cold cut bread on Thursday, by the way. It's a special order, so keep that to yourselves, all right? But that is really good. Of course, Bicknell, Troyer, Swift Springs, our friends up at Napa, and our new friends out at Bobcat of the Finger Lakes. Great to see you again. Keep doing all that good work with the kids, man, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Doug.
Good job.